Okay, if you need assistance for special rights, so that means problems 7 through 14, here's our video. I will go over some of the ones we did in class. I will give you some pointers. Remember, you're going to use your formula chart. The yellow one will be provided for you. You're going to focus on 30, 60, 90. You need to see a 30 or 60. So you have to see one of these angles to use these formulas. Also remember, on a 30, 60, 90, we have a short leg, we have a long leg, and we have a hypotenuse, which is always opposite the right angle. Now, do not mix the 30, 60, 90 up with the 45. We have to see a 45, or we have to see tick marks, or we have to see an arc, or two arcs, excuse me, for it to be 45. This is the one where we deal with a square root of 2. No square root of 2 with the 30, 60, 90. All right, so some of the things that I point out to you to help you problem solve is you look at your triangle, you have to determine, based on the markings, what type of triangle, not just right, but is it a 30, 60, 90 or 45, 45, 90? On this one, because both of the legs, these tick marks are the same, this lets me know that this is 45. Help you with this? Take the segment, the side length that you have, look at it, compare it to the others. We are going from the hypotenuse to a leg. That means we're going from a big part to a smaller part. Anytime I go from a big to a smaller part, you are dividing. So basically I do 12 and I show division, and if I don't know what I'm dividing by, I go to my formula chart, I look to see what the numbers are in the triangle. That's the square root of 2 there. So we are going to divide by square root of 2. And we are not going to leave it like that. No radicals at the bottom. So you get points to show the division. Then you need to show rationalizing. Multiply by the square root of 2 over square root of 2. And we're going to just do top times top, bottom times bottom. If you show the multiplying, you get points. But on the top would be 12 square root of 2. And on the bottom is just 2. Points here as well. But now I can see that 12 can be divided by 2. So our final answer is 6 square root of 2. And that is our x. That is our leg. Because we are trying to find a leg here. Both of the legs are the same. So now if you need assistance on 8, I'm going to kind of get you started on this. I didn't do this one in class. For here on 8, again we have tick marks, so we know it's going to be a 45 again. We are given the leg, we're trying to get to the hypotenuse. So if I've got a small part, I'm going to a bigger part. The operation is always a multiplication. So I take my leg, whatever it is, and I multiply it by, and if I'm not too sure, I go to my formula chart. It says on the hypotenuse it's the square root of 2. So I'm multiplying by the square root of 2. So my leg was 7, square root of 5, multiplied by square root of 2. Both the 2 and the 5 are inside the radical, so these can be multiplied together. 7 square root of 10. That is our hypotenuse. Now we did discuss number 9. 9 is a little different because we see a 60, and I see a 60 with 30, 60, 90 triangles. So now I'm looking at these formulas. No more square root of 2 here. I look at what part is given. The 24 represents the long leg. For 30, 60, 90, we always go to the short leg. That is our home base. But I'm going from a big part to a smaller part. That shows division. And now I'm going to divide by, and if you wasn't too sure, look at your formula chart. At the long leg, that's the square root of 3. So we're dividing by the square root of 3. We cannot keep that written like that, but you will get points if you have that. So you have to rationalize by square root of 3 over the square root of 3. And we're going to simplify. The top would be 24 square root of 3. The bottom would be just 3. 24 divided by 3 would give you 8 square root of 3. And that would be your short leg. That's all they're asking. So here on 10, you're going from the hypotenuse to the long leg, but you always have to go to home base first. So we're going a big part to a small part. So you should be dividing first. That's the only clue I'm going to give you. Look at your formula chart if you're not too sure. This was on your booklet. What number is with the hypotenuse, and that will help you out. After you do that, to get to the long leg, that's the bigger part, you're going to have to take whatever the short leg is and multiply it by radical 3. That is my only hint I'm giving you for that. Now 11 we did in class as well. 30, 60, 90. This is my long leg. Gotta get to the short leg. Anytime I go from a big to a smaller part, I am dividing. So 4 square root of 6 is now going to be divided by square root of 3. And because both are inside the radical, I'm just going to say 6 divided by 3. And that gives me 4 square root of 2. Now I'm trying to find my hypotenuse. That means I'm going to a bigger part. So that means multiplication. So I now take that 4 square root of 2. Multiply it. Well, it should be multiplied by 2 because the hypotenuse is 2x. Here, only the 4 and the 2 gets multiplied, so our answer is 8 square root of 2. That is what the x is. Now, if you need help for number 12, I'm going to get you started. They're starting off with the hypotenuse. We need to get to the leg. So I take that 7, divide by square root of 2. Please try to rationalize that. Your hint is the x and the y are the same. They're all going to be congruent. So finish that one. 13 we did in class, but I will recap again. Because we have a 7, that's where we start with a 45, 45, 90. The other leg is 7. Hypotenuse is 7 square root of 2. I use that to help problem solve with the 30, 60, 90. You can redraw it if you need to, but basically in my 30, 60, 90, it's a little off. That 7 square root of 2 represents the hypotenuse. I'm always going to the short leg. To do that, I'm going to divide. Big to a small, you divide. This one is divided by 2. Well, 7 divided by 2 is really just 3.5 square root of 2. This represents my short leg. But they want the long leg, which is the x. So I'm going from my 3.5 square root of 2 to a bigger. So I'm now multiplying. 3.5 square root of 2 times square root of 3. Both are inside, so my answer is 0.5 square root of 6. And that's your x. So you will have one that is a multi-step. And then we'll talk about 15. No pictures. You're going to have to draw them to help you problem solve. If you're fine with this, go ahead and fast forward. Go to the next set of problems. Thanks.